Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Wexford, Ireland, and today I'm bringing you on a September garden tour to a beautiful garden in Northern Ireland called Glenarm Castle Gardens. So if you love colour, if you appreciate a well-designed garden that has excellent structure and looks fantastic whatever the season, then you will love today's garden tour. Today we're visiting Glenarm Gardens, a beautiful garden in Northern Ireland that dates from the 1820s and should be top of your list if visiting Northern Ireland. The garden was originally created to provide the castle household with all of its fresh produce. All that remains of that original garden, apart from the walls and buildings, are the impressive yew circle planted around the 1820s, which surrounds the herb garden, and the circular beech hedge around the fountain and leading up to it. Since 2001, Lord and Lady Antrim, together with a dedicated team, have gone about restoring the garden and opened it to the public for the first time in 2005. Virtually everything you see today has been planted over the past 2 decades. The garden incorporates the old and the new in a very naturalistic way. There is lots of neatly clipped hedging, including handsome rows of pleached trees, but there are also wildflower sections and a subtropical bed. The sharp, orderly lines of neatly maintained lawn and hedging contrast beautifully with the billowing, herbaceous perennials in a variety of colours and shapes. Pleaching or plashing is a technique of interweaving living and dead branches through a hedge, creating a fence, hedge or lattices. Trees are planted in lines and the branches are woven together to strengthen and fill any weak spots until the hedge thickens. Branches in close contact may grow together due to a natural phenomenon called inosculation. Pleaching was common in gardens from late medieval times to the early 18th century to create shaded paths or to create a living fence out of trees or shrubs. Commonly, deciduous trees were used by planting them in lines. The canopy was pruned into flat planes with the lower branches removed, leaving the trunks below clear. Julius Caesar mentioned that the Gallic tribes used plashing to create defensive barriers against cavalry, circa 60 AD. After the second quarter of the 18th century, the technique withdrew to the kitchen garden and the word dropped out of English usage. Tilia or lime is the most commonly used tree for pleached walkways. Ash, beech, chestnut, hornbeam and plane can also be pleached, as can apples and pears. Trees are planted in single or parallel rows 1.2 metres or 4 foot apart. Often in the early stages a light support framework of stakes or stout canes and wires or cord are used. New shoots can be trained to these supports, forming the basic branch framework. There's quite a bit of ongoing maintenance, as during the growing season you need to tie in young growths to the supports while they're still supple. Laterals should be plaited with those of neighbouring trees. Unwanted outward growing shoots can be pruned back to 1 or 2 buds from the base during early autumn or winter, and leading growths can be pinched out to encourage bushiness. All of this is quite the labour of love, which is why I always appreciate pleached trees when I see them, but would never have the patience to carry out the technique in my own garden. This garden has lots of different features. Within the yew circle which surrounds the herb garden, we find mass plantings of borage. Borage, with its dainty blue flowers, has never looked so good. It seems to dance in all its light frothiness above the beds, the foliage adding as much as the flowers themselves might. But my favourite is the wildflower beds. These display mixed wildflowers in beds bordered by straight, manicured lawn edges and surrounded at a wider distance by neat hedging. The contrast of formal and informal is very striking and adds a modern twist to the garden. Glenarm Castle and Gardens is beautiful whether you visit at tulip time in spring, in high summer, or even later. My visit in September showed so much flower and colour that it was hard to imagine this was not its peak season. I guess the garden's cleverly designed structure makes it interesting no matter what time of year you visit. Thank you for joining me today on this garden tour visit of Glenarm Castle Gardens, a beautiful garden which I feel sure you'll be eager to visit when you next spend some time in Northern Ireland. Let me know in the comments below which was your favourite bit of the garden. And finally, may I add that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then I'd like to encourage you to do so, as subscriptions and pressing like and leaving comments all help feed the algorithm, which helps the channel grow. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.